Good morning, good morning. What is up, everybody? JT here with another Chart Talk Live. It is Tuesday, July 15th. Let's start digging in here this morning. Let me get over to I don't know why this keeps asking me to. I don't want to reorder the channels now. There we go. What's up, guys? What's up, Sarge? What's up, Navy Plum? Good to see you both here. Let me get my screen sharing going. All right. So, we're going to start as we always do with a look at what's happening with ES and S&P futures, which seem to be trying to break out for new all-time highs here this morning. Looks like we just got our CPI report. Let me get that number up. Actually, I don't have it in front of me yet. And let me get this chat open. What's up, gentlemen? Good morning. Good morning. What's up, Owen? Good morning to you. All right, so let's see how these inflation readings came in. Core inflation year over year, 2.9%, just below the consensus, but higher than the previous reading. Month over month at 0.3%, that came in line with what the market has been pricing in. Still higher than the previous reading, so it's an uptick there on inflation. Core inflation rate month over month. So that's everything minus food and energy, because those are a little bit more volatile. That came in at 0.2%. Previous reading was 0.1. Consensus was 0.3. So we had a few things come in a little lower than the consensus and what the market has likely been pricing in. Still an uptick from the previous reading. So not a great case for a rate cut, which is what the White House seems to continue to push for. Whether or not it is in our own best interest, that remains irrelevant, I guess. Um, Sorry, just getting a little coffee in there. So let's see how that's going to play out. Let's see if it does look like we are going to hold above current all-time highs. I think we should also take this opportunity to put together some trend-based fib extensions to figure out where our next upside targets might be, so you guys can kind of watch me as I do this and follow along, and maybe even pick up a thing or two about how to draw trend-based fib extensions, which is really our best tool for determining where we might find potential resistances that have never been tested before. So what I like to do is I like to take a look at the hourly chart, find a good trend that held leading us up to the current all-time highs, which obviously we've had several tests. We've had probably a few prints slightly higher than this, but really no trend driving these higher prints, right? So I'm kind of more focused on this first test of all-time highs personally, and it looks like we should, I could be wrong, have a pretty decent trend somewhere right about there. That looks good, right? No closes below, a couple of wicks below, but no closes below there, and ultimately holding pretty cleanly until we did break down. So that also gives us a good sign that now that that trend has been retested after all-time highs, or even more than retested, broken below, that trend has played out entirely at this point. So I think that gives us good cause to go ahead and use this as our point from which we will draw our trend-based fib extension. So let's take a look at this, and typically it settles right about here. Question is, does that lower level give me a new, let's take a look. I think it should be, yeah, right here-ish. So the question is this, yeah, that winds up being a pretty decent support and resistance level, which is what I wanted to see. So let's lock these in. Excuse me. So we've got some potential targets to the upside now. generally speaking, and again, this is very anecdotal, I do not have a strong data set that would prove this outright without bias. But I'll talk about this there in a second. Um, I would expect to see some resistance there at the, yeah, that came in a little bit lower than I thought it was going to. Actually, let me make this adjustment. Yeah, it doesn't look quite as good though on that existing, unless it's a little bit higher. Yeah, it's not gonna be that much higher though. Sorry, I'm just trying to nail this down, make sure it looks right. Yeah, I'm gonna leave that where I had it. I think we're pretty good there. We do extend above that a little bit, but I think that's okay. Um, I expect a test and some resistance at the 0.382, but generally speaking, what I would say we should see or may see from an anecdotal standpoint is that we will break, once we break over the 0.382, we'll likely make a bigger push towards that 61.8 fib extension before we see a retracement to the 0.5 or the 50% extension, and then we'll see how things continue from there. But overall, I think these look like some decent levels based on sort of how this chart is laid out for us and what that trend looks like. Again, this is just our best guesstimate. By no means is it a guarantee that any of these levels will work out. We don't need that old trend line. That any of these levels will show any signs of resistance, but in my experience, if you draw these correctly, it does tend to help us find potential support and resistance, and at this point, really just resistance levels that we've never seen before. So, quick little tutorial or run through of trend-based fib extensions, which give us some upside targets, assuming the market holds above 63.33. We could see 63.54 today. Obviously, NVIDIA being a big part of moving that to the upside with some developments on chips that they're going to start shipping to China and a bunch of other things that they've got in the works as usual. NVIDIA, first company to reach that $4 trillion market cap, and continuing to show us why that was or is the case. So with that being said, that's what things are looking like in the markets overall. Quite bullish. No surprises there. Market's built and designed to go up. All right, so let's get to some trade plan recaps, and then we'll get to some new trade plans this morning. What's up, everybody? What's up? Did I say what's up, everybody? Navy Plum, Surge, Owen. Yeah, good morning, good morning, good morning. Finest Kings, good morning to you. All right, so let's take a look at some of our existing trade plans, see how those are playing out. We did have a trade plan on XYZ. This one gave a, this is from last Tuesday's live stream, by the way. And I do need to go back and see. I feel like I once again screwed up. What was last? Yeah, last Tuesday, CRWV and XYZ. But I've got that trade plan in front of me now, so I can fix that up real quick. So what are we seeing here on XYZ? Did get this really interesting dump and then a massive recovery going into the market open yesterday. Let's see how this actually played out in sort of an actionable time frame. Yeah, definitely a strong move down there, but then again, immediately recovered. Definitely looks like a little bit of manipulation there. Somebody saw something coming, wanted to get in at a lower price, and made a big move. Levels overall seem to be responding well. We just didn't complete that move to the downside. So, again, you can't really, it's hard to plan for that kind of move where you see just an absolute dump and then an immediate recovery and then some. But ran all the way up to our stop loss average down there at 69.81, rejected that. I think that this is still a good ticker to watch with these existing levels from this trade plan. So keep this one in your back pocket. I think the next go around, without any kind of insane dump and pump moves one day after the next, these levels look solid and it should play out. So again, just one of those scenarios where this is why nobody's 100% on their win rate. Definitely looked like a pretty good confirmed break. You would have had to jump in for basically an intended overnight swing, and then, like I said, right there, first thing yesterday morning, absolutely spiked. And what was the news behind that? If there was any, not that there needs to be some. Yeah, I don't really see anything, at least from a headline level, that's like, oh, that's maintained outperform, but that was well before that all took place. So, yeah, just kind of insane movements. I'm sure there was some news or catalyst behind both of those moves, but I don't see them, and I don't think we need to spend a ton of time trying to dig those up. After that, we did have, not Carvana, we did CoreWeave. So I'll need to fix this up real quick. Looks like all of our downside targets played out and then some, and now we're back testing and finding some resistance at PT3 for puts. But let me also pop that on. That's better. And let's set this back up the way I should have done it in the first place. Let me get this open. So we had an entry at 158.50. Whoops. 856, 163.75, 166.07, and 170.58, 155.41. Stop loss average down, put entry 148.87, 143.73, 38.67, and 130.73 with a stop loss average down at 151.99. So that's what this looks like. And let's, why does that look? Hang on, let me hide these drawings real quick. Maybe I've got some weirdness going on with those. Other horizontals now. There we go. Yeah, it's just something weird I had set up in the drawings. So, yeah, we got this, we did this plan, like I said, last Tuesday. This one has played out to the downside for all of our downside targets after giving us that break below. Back test pushes down for all PTs and then some. Now trying to recover along with NVIDIA. Remember, NVIDIA is doing some interesting things with CoreWeave. So keep that on watch as NVIDIA does make a strong recovery. This does seem to be flipping a lot of things bullish, but I would be very careful chasing this move immediately. Let's wait to see some additional resistances flip to support or some good back tests of some of these levels to see if we can't find an opportunity to get in on CoreWeave. But yeah, overall looking pretty strong here, moving pre-market to the upside. All right, then we had from last Thursday's live stream, we did BABA. Let's put this in on the chart. So this would be where we did this plan right here. And ultimately, excuse me, I'm about to sneeze. Of course it goes away. God, I hate that. Sorry about that. Overall, Baba giving us that break to the upside. Let's see if it gave us a good break and back test. As we look at some of the smaller, more actionable time frames, it was very, very quick. But there you go, close above, quick back test, pushes higher on the 15-minute there, and has since obviously hit all of our price targets. And then this massive gap up, I'm guessing with a lot of this news about both AMD and NVIDIA being able to ship more things or specialized China-specific semiconductors to China. That bodes well for China, clearly, bodes well for AMD and NVIDIA. So all names related to that and making big moves to the upside here this morning. So congrats if you were still swinging any runners on BABA. This one absolutely printing tons of money for you. So hopefully you are along for the ride. What's up, Trading Dad? Good morning. Good to see you. Do I not have the chat open here? This looks weird. Hang on. Let me... Docs, chat. I don't want it to look like that, though. It's so freaking weird. OBS is doing some weirdness to me right now. I might stop doing that. OBS. There we go. That looks better. not top chat, live chat. There we go. Okay, all that looks better. I don't know what top fans are. I don't know what that is. Okay, cool. That all looks better. Okay, so Baba, like I said, great moves to the upside. And then last but not least, we had Adobe from last Thursday's live stream. This one looks like it's wanting to play out to the downside for us. This plan went into effect right here. But so far, nothing to see here. Adobe's not breaking to the upside or the downside so far. We didn't have a third ticker last week, did we? I don't think so, but let's double check. Yeah, we did. Yeah, thank you. All right, so we did MicroStrategy last Thursday. This one gave us a break within the day. That same day, I should say, right? Lots of rejections just below, gives us the break above, nice bit of back testing, then off to the races, hitting price targets all the way up to PT2 with a confluence, a nice support building up below here, right at PT1. So this one looks strong and like it might continue to the upside. What is up, Chris? Good morning. Good morning. A little bit late is better than never. Hope you are doing well. Baba, yeah, we just talked about it. Absolute gap up, blasting off for us on any runners that folks were holding there. And then MSTR also looking very strong, and Adobe kind of just hanging out, middling around. So with that being said, that covers our trade plan recaps. Let's get to some new ticker requests. I see my man Serge in here bright and early asking for, what is that, Regeneron or somebody like that? REGN. I know the ticker. I've, seen it before. It's been mentioned to me before. I don't know if I've really mapped this one. Yeah, Regeneron Pharmaceuticals. It's been on, so well, if it's on Slice Breath's radar, then we definitely want to take a look at this. Not a good extended hours trader, so we're going to look at this one just on a regular trading hours chart. Keep any kind of noise out of the mix for us. Yeah, it looks very strong right now. Not a ticker I have ever charted or traded before, but I've heard of it. I do the name. It's in this gap and seems to be cruising to the upside through it. That would take us up to here. So we'll want to keep that level on watch for sure. Probably going to be a good, useful support and resistance level, even though we're already well above it. That could wind up being a price target for the downside or something like that. McDonald's. Chris wants to take a look at Chris is obsessed with the food tickers. Chipotle, McDonald's. If you keep this up, bro, you're gonna weigh like 300 pounds. Snap grab is back. Dude, call me when the McRib comes back. That's all I care about. All right, let's get some levels in here. Let's go. Let's get this locked in. So I'm probably, I don't know. I think I'm one of the older members in the group, but I don't know if y'all remember way back in the day. I'm going to talk about this while I try to do my levels at the same time. But way back in the day, this was like back when McDonald's was at the height of excess before Super Size Me and all that stuff came out, and they did away with the supersized menu entirely, which, no wonder Americans started to become supersized themselves with all that going on. But way back in the day, they had this thing called the bucket of fries. And the bucket of fries was literally a supersized drink cup full of French fries. And as a teenager, I used to eat that shit up. Now, granted, I was out surfing all day, every day, and burning all of those calories off pretty rapidly. So it never really impacted me. I never showed the signs that I was eating buckets of fries, but talk about excess. It's pretty wild. Yeah, make America strong. Yeah, that's about right. I'm all for bringing back, like Jensen Wang and some of these guys have said, like, I'm all for onshoring high end production for critical tech components and stuff like that. But anybody that thinks we should be onshoring, half the shit that Temu or Amazon sells that's, just cheap goods that need to be made cheaply, um, is pretty crazy. Not what I want, you know, the kids I have yet to have or anybody's kids doing in their future is, essentially working in a tchotchke factory. We got to be better than that, right? Yep, yep. No, he's been DMing me. I do owe him a response. We're definitely going to get him on board with some mentoring and get him squared away. It's what I love to do. I've had some fantastic success with mentoring students lately, seeing lots of very good results, which is what I am all about. Good results. They keep trying to buy me stuff. Their results are so good. I'm like, I'm good. You take your, significant other out for a nice dinner, buy yourselves a nice bottle of wine, celebrate. You did the work. I just taught you how to do it. I don't need any gifts. All right, let's see. Yeah, for sure. I will tell them. Give me a testimonial. That can be your gift to me. Although I don't know. I feel like I don't know. I don't think I'll ever take a step back from mentoring, but there are times that I think about doing it. Just because I do really appreciate free time, my little bit of free time that I have, as it is. But again, it's very rewarding getting to help folks. All right. So I'll probably never take a step back from mentoring. I'll just continue to up the price. So it's only the most serious students signing up. All right. A little bit, yeah. That's definitely a good level, actually, now that I see that. What's going on down here? I feel like we should be finding some levels in the mix down here. Like that one looks pretty good. I mean, I feel like, you know, this is where we make some serious money without relying on alerts. Not that there's anything wrong with alerts. We do need to have those in the mix as well, but I really, really, really much prefer sharing trade plans, talking about, smart trade habits and execution. That is the stuff that keeps members making money from blowing their accounts. And I think just actually, you know, without doing direct one-on-one mentoring can really help teach folks a thing or two about what it takes to do this and do it consistently and with a fairly high success rate, knowing that we will never ever be perfect. Gotta accept that at the very beginning. Losses are a part of this game. You got to know when it's time to take them and move on to the next trade. People that struggle with that tend to be lower at the lower end of the performance spectrum. It's probably the best way to say that, because they wind up holding their losses for too long, and then when they finally get a trade going their direction, they cut that win early as F, because they just need a win because they've had a couple of bad losses, and so they cut their winners early. They let their bad trades continue to just whittle themselves down to nothing. And that is the opposite of what you want to do, right? You want to pick your weeds and water your flowers, not cut your flowers and let the weeds grow, which is, again, kind of what happens when you're like, oh, this has to come back, or this loss is so bad, I really can't take this one on the chin. I just need to hold and hope, right? Hope that this recovers. Hope's not a strategy. And that's one of the tricky things with options, right? They can kind of do, the price action can do things that keeps you in the trade for too long, or you set your stops too wide, or whatever the case might be. You got to be very meticulous and willing to say, this plan's invalidated. This is not going to work out in my favor, without doing it too early while the plan might still be valid. That's why we have a clearly defined stop loss average down level. But anyway, I'm kind of waxing poetic on good trading habits, but that's what I want to focus on. So this is my show. Y'all just listen to whatever I have to say. All right, let's keep rolling here. I'm starting to see how this is going to play out, or how I think it's going to play out, right? As best we can anticipate these moves. Do like that slightly closer price target there. Yeah, I think we can take a shot up here at 667.73. Where's a smart stop loss? Right there. Downside definitely gets interesting if it loses this weekly support. I think that makes a move down to this next weekly support, possibly. Hang on, actually, before I go, do you have that part of this existing guy? You know what, that could wind up grabbing support there, actually. So it might be semi-close, PT 1 and 2, but just two good spots to take profits, in my opinion. I think that moves us down to this last, or not last, but third price target, next weekly level down. I think also we have a pretty good stop loss average down here at 552.19. All right, so we've got what looks like some pretty decent trade plans here. Let's plot these out, and then we'll walk ourselves through this one last time. Up to 642.53 and 667.73. Stop loss average down at 564.67 to the downside. 3, 519, 649, and oops, 477.92 with the stop loss average down at 552.19. Catch up with me here. Trade plan navigator. Did I screw something up in that? So, no, that's not right. Wait, what did I do? Oh, no. Totally mistyped that. And that. That makes more sense. There we go. And let's adjust this Y offset, because this is a higher dollar ticker. I have a feeling this is going to need to be pretty well over. And a little bit more. Let's take it to 3. See how that looks. Yeah, not bad. Okay, cool. So let's lock this in. Let's hide these real quick. Keep all the noise off the charts. There we go. That looks pretty clean, doesn't it? Let's take a look at this on the hourly, see what that's showing. Yeah, looks strong on the hourly. Definitely some remaining headwinds on the 4-hour, but we'll have those cleared out once we get a break over that call entry level. So I think this plan looks pretty solid. Let's lock it in. This is Regeneron live stream plan. Cool. Let's get there. Let's get it in the elite chat. Boom. All right, that looks good. We've got that locked in. Let's lock it into our template so we can find it when we get to come back to it. Tuesday live stream plan 1. Yes, overwrite. Let's set our alerts. We're already on regular trading hours because of how this one trades. Trade plan pilot, any alert, 1 hour, perfect. Expiration, we'll give it till next week. Close of business. All right, so let's talk through this one last time, and then we'll move on to some more ticker requests. What are we looking for here on Regeneron? We're looking for a break over 583.30. That should bring price targets at 614.82, 642.53, and 667.73, with a stop loss average down at 564.67 to the downside. We're looking for a break below 538.23. That should give us targets at 519.51, 506.49, and 477.92, with a stop loss average down at 552.19. Those are your Regeneron live stream plans. Go get them. All right, what do we got next? We have McDonald's. I almost forgot the McRib. So Chris has never had a McRib before. Brother, you don't know what you're missing. It is probably one of the grossest things you could put in your body, but it is somewhat delicious. I mean, it is, I don't even know what it's made of. It's molded into the shape of a mini rack of ribs. They take, meat parts. I don't know what they actually, like I said, I don't know what it's made out of. And they mold it into a little rectangle with some, fake bones in it. But it's doused in barbecue sauce, but, takes you right back to public school lunches. Very nostalgic. I'll tell you one thing I've never had from any fast food restaurant is any kind of fish. Filet of fish or Captain D's or Long John Silver's or any of those places. Screw that. Seafood needs to be fresh. At least for me. You've had fish fillet before? I'm not knocking anybody who's had it. It gives me the heebie-jeebies. Trust me, I've eaten plenty of dumb, gross things before. Very unhealthy things. We all do. We're in a first world country. We have that luxury of eating unhealthily and have it, not just be for survival. Okay, Mickey D's, what are you doing here? It's been a while since I've looked at McDonald's, and honestly, it doesn't look like I've charted it very thoroughly. It's been a long time since I've looked at McDonald's. Dividend could be a little bit better. All right. Yeah, it's, again, I'm not knocking it. I just personally can't bring myself to do it. All right. What are we doing here, McDonald's, besides making people fat? Let's figure that out. Supersize my calls. I like that. That's perfect. Bucket of fries, give me a bucket of money. Screw you, Mergen Spurlock, or whatever her name is. All right, Mickey D's. Let's see if I'm loving it. So many jokes we could make. Puns, really. It's the lowest form of humor. All right. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Y'all remember the what was his name? Was it Big Mac or something? The guy that had the like crescent moon for a head. That shit was traumatizing as a child. All right, let's see. It's overall looking bullish, but there are really kind of weird small windows of opportunity that I just don't love that much through a lot of these levels until it can get a break over this yeah, the Hamburglar. Send the Hamburglar out to steal some money from these market makers. All right, this level, which was clearly a testing level, given the color I've got it, is a little bit lower. This level looks good. I think this one really, I don't know, I'm so torn on this. That prior high from what, yeah, last week's high doesn't really look like a significant level in the bigger picture. Hang on, I want to figure this out real quick. I don't want to miss a good opportunity if we've got one. But I also don't want to get us into a trade prematurely, which is the worst problem. I think there is. I don't want to lose sight of this level. Actually, change that back to this real quick. All right, we're going to take a shot at this. My apologies in advance. Whoops, that's not what I wanted. If this is not the right entry level, I'm kind of thinking that we wait for 305.94. I could be wrong about that. I do know, though, if we're going to use this earlier entry, that I do want 305.94 as a price target, and this would have been my first price target over 305.94, so we'll lock that in as PT2. I know that took me a minute. I had McRibs on the brain. Take that as a third price target. Stop loss. Average down. There is a pretty decent weekly support there. We have shown signs of getting stuck under it. Is it just a hair lower? I don't think it is, actually. Yeah, actually, I could see that being just slightly lower. Okay, let's lock this in. At some point, we gotta make a decision, right? All right, so to the downside, definitely looking for a break below here at 295.72. I think that will. I think this level might be. No, it's. Yeah, I think it is just a little bit. There's a little bit lower, actually. Yeah, right about there. PT1. From there, I want to go look at history real quick. Jump in the Wayback Machine. Uh, hmm. Yeah, I think that this is a good second price target, third price target. Yeah, there's definitely something there. It could go down to 284.40, but I think at the point that we've hit that third target, let's also check this more recent PA. Excuse me. Could be 286.51. It really could be any of these three levels for a third price target, but at that point, I think we go ahead and book profits at 286.51 and we move on to the next trade. Now, the only other question is, do I have a better stop loss average down? I think we do. I think it sits, yeah, right about here. Yep, that looks pretty good. Let's lock this in. And let's plug this into the trade plan navigator for you all, pilot for me. Loss average down to 972. Let's see if I can get my numbers right on the downside instead of totally jacking it up like I did a moment ago. And stop loss average down to 97.69. Cool, that all looks good. Of course, our Y offset for something not as expensive as Regeneron is a bit much. Let's go with 1. Let's go with 0.7. Maybe 0.6. There we go. That looks good. Okay. All right, let's lock this in. Let's go. So here is our McDonald's live stream plan. Post it here in the morning live stream and also in the elite chat so we can grab our message link. Let's lock in our template. Tuesday live stream 2. Yep. Alerts. Regular trading hours. That looks good. That looks good. That looks good. Take this to next Tuesday. Close business. Slight overlap each week with our trade plans. All right. That looks good. So let's talk through this. What are we looking for here on McDonald's besides a McRib to come back? We're looking for a break over 302.55. That should give us targets at 305.94, 310.17, and 314.35 with a stop loss average down at 299.72. To the downside, we're looking for a break below 295.72. That should give us targets at 291.03, 288.80, and 286.51 with a stop loss average down at 297.69. That is your McDonald's live stream plan, upside or downside. We are ready to make some money on these trade plans. That does put us about 15 minutes out from market open. I'm going to use this as a good stopping point to go ahead and get to work on the daily SPY plan. I have a feeling I'm going to be marking up some trend-based fib extensions there as well. Oh, wait, sorry. If I was cutting out there for a second, I probably I probably just got too far away or wasn't facing the microphone as well as I should have. You're doing puts or calls depending on what level breaks, Joe. So if we get a break to the upside of the call entry, that's where we look for calls and to go, play for the upside. And if we get a break to below the put entry, well, then we're looking to play the downside. That keeps us unbiased. And if we're going to spend the time still cutting off badly now, even now that I'm talking into the microphone, it could be a Discord issue then at that point. I'm not sure why it would get so hiccupy. I'm now speaking directly into the microphone. My apologies. I'm not sure why that was happening, but everything has been, pretty much in the same situation. Okay, yeah, sorry about that. It was probably just me not facing the microphone and getting a little far away from it. That was on me. I wasn't thinking about where I was speaking, what direction I was speaking in. So anyway, yeah, again, going back to, okay, yeah, that's got to be a Discord thing. I mean, I'm literally talking straight into this microphone. I cannot be, my mouth is right up against it now. So yeah, I don't know. It could be Discord, could be some kind of network connectivity. Not totally sure, but anyway, like I said, if we get a break over the call entry, Joe, we're looking to play for the upside. If we get a break below it, we're looking to play for the downside. Yeah, OBS is picking me up perfectly. I mean, I can see my mic readings here, and it looks perfect. So yeah, it's got to be a weird Discord thing. So anyway, with that being said, I do need to go get to work on the daily SPY plan. I do want to thank everybody for joining me, even if you were, yeah, that's got to be a Discord thing. I don't know what's going on. I'm talking directly into that mic. I'm going to type instead of microphoning right now because apparently Discord's being dumb. I sound like Darth Vader now. All right, let's see if Discord's going to cooperate. No, yeah, it keeps cutting out. I'm literally talking directly into this microphone. Yeah, it's a Discord thing for sure. I'll try to get that figured out. Maybe it's a setting I have fucked up. No, yeah, it just totally cuts out. Yeah, Discord stream issue, guys. Sorry about that. Blame Discord. Everybody will be back Thursday morning at 8:30 a.m.